Welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, journalist John Micek joins me, but first we have an exclusive interview with the 47th governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf. Governor Tom Wolf, as they say, let's get to it.
Welcome to the fast-paced and unrehearsed weekly discussion featuring the leaders who help shape your world. Join us as we address the issues that impact you each and every day. This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Governor, thanks for coming on. You've been on the show frequently. We're delighted to have you. First, I want to start with these. There are 4 ballot questions. 3 of them are constitutional amendments. One is just a ballot question, if passed, would go into effect. But I want to talk to you about 2 of them in particular. These are the amendments that Republicans have put forward that want to limit gubernatorial executive authority. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. And as you know, Democrats have a different view, had a different view about how quickly, not just the Commonwealth, but all over the country, municipalities and states and businesses should be open, more broadly than Democrats. So there is a party distinction there, to put it mildly. And there are 2 constitutional amendments that the voters will get a chance to vote on. One of them, and I would like you to talk about it, would allow a majority of lawmakers to end an executive declaration at any time without the governor's consent. Now, whether it's Governor Wolf or somebody else that comes along.
Yeah, and I understand the partisan issue here, but I think from the point of view, if you look at whether there's there will be Republican governors in the future, and I'm not sure you want to hamstring any governor of whatever party by doing that. Right now, the legislature does have the ability to override a governor's veto. So basically what you're saying in this is to take a governor's ability to make decisions in the midst of a crisis, a pandemic, but also a terrorist attack, a big snowstorm, a hurricane, whatever disaster you can imagine. And in any democracy, you need some way of reacting fast. And if you take that power away or reduce it, you're reducing our democracy's ability to respond. Again, right now, the General Assembly has the power to stop any declaration of an emergency simply by taking a vote and overriding a governor's. Even if I disagree with it and say I'm going to veto that, they can still override. So we're basically talking about going from 66% to override, to stop a governor to 51%. And
now, you don't get to stop a constitutional amendment. It goes through this process.
Whatever
the
people
have to agree on it. So it's not like a bill where you can go up or down on, right?
No, and it doesn't come to me for a signature or veto. It goes straight out to the ballot. Yeah. So this is the people, the voters of Pennsylvania are going to make this decision. And I just think, as in every constitutional amendment, you have to think fairly carefully about whether you want to, hamstring
it's complicated.
Political system. It is, but I mean, you say you vote yes on this, and all of a sudden, the ability to say the National Guard is going to go out, and therefore, if you can't declare an emergency there, you lose federal funding. Yeah. You have a lot of monies that you lose as a result of this. Yes, the legislature can allow this to happen, but they have to come back within 21 days, and they're out for months at a time.
But there's this big difference between Democrats and Republicans in terms of how quickly the economy should. Don't you think that's at the heart of this? I don't think it's personal.
No. I think you said originally it probably stems from frustrations we all feel about this pandemic. And what should we have done? In hindsight, should different things have been done to make sure people stay safe? Well, I don't know. I think whatever we did could be second guessed. A lot of people think it was great. A lot of people think that it wasn't. And that's going to happen no matter how you set this up. I think what this comes down to is, should a democracy have the ability to react quickly to an emergency, whatever that emergency is? And I think the answer to that is yes. And if you believe that, then vote no on these two amendments.
We're going to run to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the Second Amendment, and we'll do that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Welcome back. I'm chatting with the Governor of the Commonwealth, Tom Wolf. We're talking about amendments that will be before the voters on the May 18th primary. All right, let's go to the second one. And here's the second one. At the moment, a disaster declaration, and I'm reading this to be sure that wording is, that folks understand it correctly and that I understand it correctly, lasts 90 days and can be renewed as many times as deemed necessary by the governor. The measure would also prevent the governor from issuing a new disaster declaration based on the same or similar facts.
Yeah, again, I think you want to be careful. I mean, keep in mind, you can have a Republican or a Democratic governor, and you don't know what the nature of the emergency is. None of us really knows. I mean, this is the first time we had a pandemic. And I think whatever your political attachment, you're going to want to have somebody be in a position to say, okay, let's react quickly and decisively to this, rather than sort of. I mean, the legislature is supposed to be a deliberative body. They should be that, and that's how the system is supposed to work. And they should have oversight, as they do right now, and be able to come back and say, I think you overstepped here. Yeah. They have that power now, and I think the way we're doing it right now is pretty good. Yeah. So I'd vote no.
We also had 3 Mile Island.
We had 3 Mile. I mean, who knows what? I think we're always surprised by the emergency.
Yeah.
And there is no book that says, okay, here's the emergency and here's what a government should do. You need to be able to move quickly. And I think anything that says reduces that is a problem. Yes, you want oversight. You want democratic accountability. We have that right now, and I think the Constitution is pretty strong on that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the status of vaccinations. It all seems to be going well. A high percentage of Pennsylvanians have one or both shots, and you've announced the economy is going to be open, and I have it right here. I will wear it. I will wear it when I go out. And you have yours right there, Governor. Yeah. And that only makes some sense. I mean, it seems to me. And so, where does talk about opening the economy and the status of vaccinations?
Well, let's start with vaccinations. We have moved up. Right now, we're at, I guess, as of this morning, 50.9% of Pennsylvanians have had at least one shot. And keep in mind, those below the age of 16 can't get it. So that's a pretty good percentage. Yeah. That puts us number 10 overall in the country, but we're number 1 in the top 10, the 10 biggest, most populous states. When it comes to second shots, I think we're second among the 10 most populous states. So we're doing pretty well. And I'm proud of Pennsylvanians. But some of the things that are really hopeful, the first in line, of course, were the folks 65 or older.
Oh, sure.
We're number 3 in the nation in terms of, and they're over 90% of 65 and older folks.
And there seems to be a supply now exceeding demand.
Yes. But and so one of the issues is what are people going to be hesitant to get the vaccine? And one of the things that gives me hope is what a high percentage of seniors in Pennsylvania have chosen. And there are a lot of seniors who are Republicans, and there are a lot of seniors who are Democrats.
It's not a party
and it's not a party thing. So I'm really optimistic that we're going to do good things. Now, as I say, announced 2 days ago, I guess, that we're going to be eliminating. We had been reopening for a long time now, but all the limitations will be dropped. Will still be a mask order that comes from the Department of Health till we reach 70%, which is what people are saying about that is herd immunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want people to get. I want to get back to life as close to normal as I can, as fast as we can.
All right, we're going to run to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about an issue that you've put forward for a number of years now, raise the minimum wage in this state, and we'll get to that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Cross-State Credit Union Association. Credit unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, go to ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, representing the faculty and coaches who are devoted to providing quality public higher education for Pennsylvania's college students.
All right, Governor Wolf, there's a big debate about minimum wage, $7.25. You've recommended that it go to 12 and then ultimately to 15. Right. There's activity going on at the federal government as well. The voters in the polls that have been done do support raising the minimum wage. So in terms of voter support, but sometimes government doesn't always do what the voters think should happen, and sometimes what the people want is difficult to achieve.
Right.
So take it. Where does this all stand?
Well, I think my proposal is very reasonable. And before I did this as governor, I was a business owner and had a business that was known for, that could have been in many parts of the industry was a minimum wage, had a lot of minimum wage jobs. We didn't do that. I paid top compensation, top benefits, had shared a percentage of the profits with my employees. And what I found is, and what the field of behavioral economics has found, is that you treat people well, employees well, they treat you well. So a fair wage is something that all successful businesses, I don't care how small you are or how big you are, they benefit from that. You have lower turnover. You have more employees who really want to do the right thing for your customers.
And companies are pleading for workers. You can just I drive through the streets of Lancaster and I see help wanted, help wanted, help wanted.
Exactly. No, so I think that's true. And at $7.25, first of all, there's no state around us at $7.25. All the states around us, Republican and Democrat, have gone to well above.
You can mention recreational marijuana too, but we won't take that.
That's another thing too. But yeah, so they have all gone above $7.20. It's $7.25 an hour. To do the math, a full-time job is 2,000 hours. Well, you can't support a family of two, your spouse and two kids on $7.25 an hour working full time. You just can't, and that qualifies you. So we're already paying the price of that. Yeah. You get children's health insurance, you qualify for food stamps, you qualify for a lot of. So whether you like it or not, we're already paying above $7.25.
And I thought they might come up with a compromise. Maybe $9 an hour, or $10 an hour, and that's not been forthcoming at all. As a start.
Yeah, I think the pandemic kind of interrupted the conversations, but I think there is some interest in changing the minimum wage. Whether people will go to $12 or $15 is another question. I think that's really reasonable.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at what companies are paying right now, even Walmart is starting at I think $11, $12 an hour if you're working in some minimum wage, what used to be minimum wage jobs, and I think that makes sense because to your point, they need good employees, and you're not going to get a good employee if you're paying $7.25 an hour. It's just not going to happen from a perspective of a former business owner.
Sure.
It's not going to happen.
Sure. Well, look, I want to thank you for coming on. You're always welcome. We're going to invite the Speaker of the House, Brian Cutler, who has COVID, on the program, and we're delighted that you're here. All right, coming up, John Micek. He is the editor-in-chief of Pennsylvania Capital Star. Will come on the program and we'll chat about some important subjects, and we'll do that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine.
All right, as I said before, John Micek joins me. He's the editor-in-chief of Pennsylvania Capital Star. He's one of the journalists we frequently have on the program. I'll tell you, we got the constitutional amendments that the governor and I talked about. There are two additional ones, not constitutional amendments, but ballot questions. One's an amendment. And then we have the May 18th primary, the ballot of which is how long, John?
About 9 million pages. It's a lengthy one. I mean, you know, we talk about this year being an off-year election. Really, there's no off-year elections, Terry. I mean, there are county officials who are up, magisterial district justices. We have all three levels of the statewide appellate courts. There's city councils, there's borough councils, there's school boards, there's the Philadelphia district attorney. There is a cornucopia of choices for voters on May 18th.
And what's fascinating is that I've always said we call this an off-year election, but these elections are critically important to people. I mean, at the local level, let's talk about property taxes.
Oh, sure.
Let's talk about police protection, and the debate that we now have going on, you know, about the police in our society. Yeah,
I mean, these are the elections that, in a very real way, touch people's lives on an everyday basis. And in some ways, they're also kind of the farm league for people with statewide ambitions as well. The people who are serving on your borough council today might be in the legislature or running for a state senate tomorrow. So this is really sort of not only sort of a percolator for future talent, but it's also a really direct level of democracy and representation.
Yeah, good point. The other aspect of this is we elect statewide judicial officials, Commonwealth, Superior, and Supreme Court. What do you think the voters will actually know about the candidates running for these three appeals courts?
Not a heck of a lot. You know, I mean, we'd probably spend a whole show talking about what a terrible idea it is to elect judges in the state. You know, they're constrained in what they can say because they can't say how they would rule on a case that would come before them. So if you wanted to talk about something like, say, abortion rights, they can only sort of talk in the abstract about it. If you wanted to talk about sentencing reform, they can only sort of talk in the abstract about it. The nearest guide you have are the recommendations put together by the Pennsylvania Bar Association. Maybe it's ballot position, maybe it's name recognition, maybe it's geography, but apart from that, you know, voters don't have a heck of a lot to go on. So that being the case, I will plug the Capital Star's Voters Guide. We've run down all of the races for State Supreme Court, Superior Court, and Commonwealth Court, and folks can look on our website there to get up to date before they head to the polls.
Yeah, the other aspect of this has to do with, at the county level, we elect a whole variety of officers, many of whom perform court functions that are narrow in terms of their scope, meaning that their jobs are specifically prescribed in Pennsylvania law. I'm talking about the clerk of courts, recorder of deeds, prothonotary. Why are we electing these people? They should really be appointed, perhaps by
That is a question for the General Assembly. I have long wondered the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, the General Assembly, otherwise known as the state legislature, is not going to take that issue up anytime soon.
Probably not. No, right? I mean, they are these sort of like these vestigial offices that we've elected for the longest time, that for a long time were kind of like patronage dumping grounds and a way to reward loyalists. Mm-hmm. Now they're much more professionalized specialist positions, and there's really no good argument for making them elected when they should be appointed.
Well, let's move to a completely different topic. I don't think there's any doubt that next year we're in a very unusual election cycle. Not that it's a midterm election. They're not unusual. We have many of them. But in Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf, who was obviously just on the program, is term limited, can't seek for re-election. It's an open seat. Senator Pat Toomey, a Republican, has said, I'm done, I'm out of here. And so we have 2 open seats, not arguably, for very, very significant offices, and a multitude of candidates, particularly on the Senate side. So where do you think all this goes?
Well, I mean, the primaries, the primary on the Republican side for governor, the Republican, and for Democrat and Republican in U.S. Senate are going to be free-for-alls. You know, you have some really outsized personalities running in those races. You know, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, for instance, is seeking the Democratic nomination. Representative Malcolm Kenyatta from Philadelphia, State Senator Sharif Street, a bunch of folks who are stepping up on the race for governor. You know, everyone keeps saying it's going to be Attorney General Josh Shapiro, who appears to, at least right now, stand alone as the Democratic candidate. But you have Republican folks, Bill McSwain, the former U.S. attorney from Philadelphia, who's been mentioned, a bunch of other names. You know, what I've been thinking about, Terry, is whether the so-called 8-year rule is gonna hold for governor in 2022. You know, that's that long post-war tradition of the parties swapping control of the governor's office every 8 years. I mean, it's been we've seen so many rule-breaking elections these last couple of cycles.
Like
you know, I wonder if this is yet another rule that's going to get trashed.
Like Governor Corbett, who didn't get a second term.
Exactly right. Yep.
All right. I don't think there's any doubt that the census and the fact that Pennsylvania is going to lose one of our congressional seats. Back in the 1920s, we had 36. We're a pivotal battleground state, the most visited state 4 years ago. And here we're coming into a very, very important midterm election, and we're going to lose a congressional seat, which will take us from 18 to 17. And boy, is that going to be a battle royale in the state legislature. As the governor, you know, you've got a conservative Republican legislature and a liberal governor. I'm using conservative and liberal as descriptive.
Right.
And where all that goes, how many different ways can you say Supreme Court?
Every single way that matters. I mean, that's where this map is going to land. I think the idea that they're going to come to a consensus product on the congressional map is a fantasy, because there's just so much at stake. And all eyes right now, Terry, are being trained on Western Pennsylvania, where there's traditionally the most population bleed. You know, U.S. Rep. Connor Lamb from suburban Pittsburgh is being mentioned as a potential U.S. Senate candidate. Maybe that's where they go for the trim. There's that group run by Eric Holder, the ex-AG, who's looking at Glenn Thompson's seat up there in north central Pennsylvania. It's going to be a free-for-all. Okay. And then, I mean, what happens if someone gets pulled in and there's an incumbent versus incumbent fight as well?
All right. Thanks for your comments.
Sure.
All right. We'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And as always, stay well.